As guests of these lands, I welcome you to the University of Arizona and to the second annual AZ HSI Summit. I think we had about 300 registrants from across the state. We even had people literally on waiting lists. And so we have like this excitement and energy today, and that's wonderful. We have an exchange of ideas. We have a lot of people who are curious, a lot of people who are also reflecting about their own college and universities practices, policies, and the extent to which, they're really centering the concept of servingness in supporting student success. No matter where they're at from across the state, that this is an accessible experience to them, and we want to encourage teams of people from across Arizona HSIs to attend. There's pockets of HSIs across our state that are in pretty isolated areas, right? And they may not even have the extent of diversity amongst their university or college leadership or amongst their faculty and staff. And so when they go back to their respective colleges and universities, they might feel, like one of many, right? And so I think coming to an experience like this helps them and reinforces the whole notion of the consortium that we're doing this as a community. Pretty also amazing to have, representatives from the White House.
I also want to make sure you're aware of Secretary Cardona's Raise the Bar priorities. He always says, sometimes with our communities, people say, oh, well, at least they showed up to class, that's enough. No, we've got to raise the bar, set the expectations high. Let children and students know that they can exceed expectations. Boldly advancing learning outcomes is also critical. That includes everything from addressing our teacher shortage, growing the ranks of more Latino educators in our field, and providing students the emotional and mental health supports that they need. And this is his focus on making sure we're doing more to bridge high school students into colleges, that we're doing more to make sure people's experiences are leading to productive and rewarding career pathways. He says that instead of just focusing on students as English learners, we have to value native languages. And every child should be a multilingual student to be able to succeed in this global economy.
We actually have a website for the AZ HSI Consortium and a whole suite of social media. And one of the cool things that we do is for every individual or team that presents here at the summit, we actually curate all of their presentation materials and resources, and then we make them available on our website.
We're really excited to get together, share ideas about best practices and what the future holds. I think getting the HSI designation was years in coming for the U of A, but I think that designation, first of all, validates all the great work that's being done to serve our students. We're really committed to the serving part of the title and the designation, and having the White House here, the incredible support from the Helios Foundation, who's been just tremendous supporting all the efforts across Arizona.
Folks are beginning to realize that we're kind of all in the same boat. We're tackling the same issue. We just need some statewide coordination, and I think that's kind of the benefit of this conference, is people saying, we're doing the same thing up north in Arizona that folks are doing down south. How can we get together and leverage what we know to make these programs better for our students? I think one of the speakers in our early panel, pretty much hit it on the head that when you look at our college going rate, it's about 47%, for our graduating high school seniors. If you look at the surrounding states around Arizona, things are in the high 50s, 60, 70%. And when you hear that statistic, you realize right away that we need to do something different, because if we're going to meet the workforce needs of tomorrow, we're going to have students that are not only going to be entering those two-year pathways to kind of get a certificate and get into the workforce, but if we're going to get there, we have to get them in the pipeline, and we have to make sure that they're successful.
So transitioning to college was really difficult for me. And that was actually a huge surprise to me and to a lot of people, because I was a really good high school student. I think there was a huge culture shock coming into college. Growing up in Tucson, I always attended Hispanic serving institutions. Our Hispanic population was basically over 90% for all of my schools. Going to U of A after that, we're still a Hispanic serving institution here, but it's definitely a lower percentage. I found myself not in the majority anymore. I felt like a minority, I felt alone. I felt like I really couldn't handle what was on my plate. And all of a sudden I didn't feel like a good student anymore. And I lost sense of basically my sense of identity.
Even though the Hispanic Serving Institution designation is a federal designation, I almost think of it as a verb. It's got to be this action-oriented momentum that really kind of fuels and serves as a lens for what we do, how we do, and what we support.
You know, when you look at our pipeline of students, it is a plurality Latino. If you look at the earlier grades, it is a clear majority Latino. That's the future of our state, and that's where the opportunity really lies. How can we do a better job of making sure that these kids understand the importance of attaining some form of post-secondary education, and how can we help them along that path? You know, if we want to thrive as a state, if we want to thrive as local communities, you know, so much of that is contingent upon our ability to educate our students and make sure that they have what they need to be successful in not just today's economy, but the economy of tomorrow.